Alright, here we go. The Siege of Gondor. Aragorn needs to quickly take over the Corsair fleet and marshal up all the armies from the southern realm of Gondor. So we can raise our threat by 1 to find Endril after we draw our opening hand, and we're going to remove these burdens again. We have some help right from the get-go. The Army of the Dead is with us. It is a 4/6/2/8 immune to player card effects. If it leaves play, we remove it from the game, so it's not like we lose if we lose the Army of the Dead, but it's amazing to start with this in play. I'm playing a Bond of Friendship deck. That's how come I have 4 heroes. I'll talk about the restrictions of this contract during the deck building segment. We also have Hotam Bombadil still, we have Old Bogey Stories, and we also have Lembas. So a lot of great cards in play right from the start. It's looking like I'll most likely be able to keep Lembas and Hotam Bombadil for one of the final quests of the saga, so that's awesome. Okay, 1A, attack on Peligir. Setup, we're going to add the Corsair fleet, Corsair side face up. We're going to add the Great Corsair ship to the staging area. We're going to search the encounter deck for a ship location and add that to the staging area, give the encounter deck a shuffle. The ship I'm starting with is the Corsair Drummond. It's a 2/2, and while it's the active location, each Corsair enemy gains archery 1. To travel there, we shuffle the discard pile back into the encounter deck, discard cards until we get a Corsair enemy, and we add that enemy to the staging area. All of these ships have a very similar travel effect as that. So we have 2 big cards in the staging area. We have an objective, the Corsair Fleet, and then forced. At the beginning of the staging step, place 1 resource on this objective. Then each player must choose either reveal an encounter card or assign X damage among characters he controls. X is the number of resources here. That's nasty. And then the Great Corsair ship is X threat, 5 progress. X is the number of resources on the fleet. The players cannot travel here unless there are at least 3 ship locations in the victory display. And then to travel there, we're going to search the encounter deck and discard pile for a Corsair enemy. It has to be the Corsair captain. Okay, so the big trick of this quest, getting 3 ship locations in the victory display as fast as possible. Let's see how my deck is going to handle that. Okay, so for this build, the first thing you're probably noticing, 42 starting threat. What the heck, am I crazy? Well, this is a quest where you're trying to beat it as fast as possible. So your starting threat, in a way, doesn't matter because I'm hoping to win in 5 rounds. And as long as I don't have anything that raises my threat an extra 3, I should win. I can even go 6 rounds. So 42 starting threat is crazy, but I'm planning on winning as fast as possible. We have Aragorn, who we have to use. If he has an artifact, he does not exhaust a quest, so that's awesome. And then if we're engaged with an enemy, Halbarad also does not exhaust a quest, and he can use 2 of his stats that way, which makes the 2/2/2 stat line not bad when you're hopefully using 2 of the stats. Gimli is also here. He also has the 2/2/2, but he's going to probably be used in combat, not questing. When he takes damage, he gets an attack boost. We also have Adrayan, also with action advantage. After a location is explored, ready Adrayan. And then Berevor's back. And again, 2/2/2, and you can exhaust her to draw 2 cards. So a lot of heroes with stats that get used in multiple phases, built-in readying. And Berevor, I'm just going to need to decide if I'm going to use her to draw cards or if I need to use one of her stats. Now you might be thinking, hey Chad, what the heck? I thought Berevor was in Ithilien. Well, in my mind, there's 2 ways to look at this. One, Berevor could have made the trip down and is currently in the part of Gondor that Aragorn is in. Dunedain are known travelers. Gondor was redistributing its forces all over the place to try to prepare for this war. There's lots of passages in the book where they were talking about how the forces have been deployed and reassigned, so she could have traveled down and met up with Aragorn at some point. But I think, personally, the way I look at it, is Berevor is an FFG created character. Berevor is one of those unnamed Dunedain, like we talked about in episode 209 of Cardboard of the Rings. She's an unnamed Dunedain from the novel that FFG created a hero around, and it's okay to think that Berevor is just a representation of any Dunedain. It's an FFG created character. So there was a Dunedain in Ithilien. Now there's another Dunedain traveling with Aragorn when he went down the paths of the dead and interacted with the Corsairs. I just wanted a Dunedain hero. And because Berevor is not a named character from the story, in my mind, she's just a Dunedain character in Lord of the Rings that happens to be named Barivor. You could think there's 2 Barivors if you wanted, I guess. But I don't get caught up with Barivor was in Ithilien, and now she's also in Peligir. There is a time difference between these 2 events, so in theory she could have traveled it. But I just think of it as it's an FFG created character. It's a Lord Dunedain character. There was a Dunedain in Ithilien, and now there's a Dunedain of Aragorn. They're just both happen to be named Barivor, and I'm totally fine with it. She's going to be extremely useful because I need to get a lot of cards into play quickly. There's a lot of direct damage in this quest, so having 4 big heroes and then Aragorn gives me a lot of hit points to soak up this damage, and I also included ways to stop the damage. So we have the Honor Guard, so Gondor Warrior, and then you can exhaust him to cancel the first point of damage just dealt to a character, and if you're in Valor, which I will be, you can exhaust and discard the Honor Guard to cancel up to 5 points of damage just dealt to a character, which is very cool. I also have the Warden of Healing again. So that's how I'm hoping to stop a lot of this damage from killing me. It can definitely happen. And then just a lot of Gondor and Dunedain, because that's what was going on here. So one of the things I would like to get is the Defender of Ramas, and he's defending for 4, but if I can get the Raiment of War on him, he's defending for 5 and gets 2 extra hit points, and there are a couple enemies who hit for 5 or 6, so then he would be able to survive that attack. That would be awesome. Super thematic cards like the Knight of Belfalas, the Linhir Sea Captain, the Envoy of Peligir, so very cool, including these cards when we're down in the area where a lot of them are from. I like that a lot. Legolas, of course, is here as well. I did not include Elrohir and Eladan as their ally versions, one, because deck space is pretty tight when you have the building restrictions, and also their responses are based on orcs, and I didn't have any orcs in this quest, so the responses are not that great when you're playing against humans and not orcs. Lots of card draw as normal, some willpower boosting. Proud Hunters is a great card when you're running 4 different heroes, because with all the action advantage they have, I'll probably be attacking with multiple heroes, and I can decide which one of these heroes gets the resources from using Proud Hunters. A very good tail is going to help me get these allies in play real quick, because I'm trying to build up a board state as fast as possible. And then to also help with combat, Coney in a Trap and Ambush. So those are 2 traps that help me in the combat phase. And I also like using traps in this quest, because that's basically what we did. We went down there, these Corsairs were not expecting this, and we completely snuck up on them. Sneak attack is also pretty thematic, I think. And we snuck up on them, sprung a trap that they weren't expecting, and took them out. But the main tech that you need to put in your deck is some way to get locations. You want to get these 3 ship locations in the victory display as fast as possible. So I have included a number of ways of finding locations. So I have 2 copies of the Dunedain Pathfinder. You get to look at the top 5 cards and put a location in the staging area, and he's free, so that's pretty awesome. So that's one way to find a ship location. I also have the Mariner's Compass. So at the beginning of the travel phase, you exhaust it and the attached character. You look at the top 5 cards of the encounter deck, and you switch a location from the encounter deck with a location in the staging area, then shuffle. So if you reveal a city location, you can swap it out for a ship location. Along the same lines, we have Distant Stars. So you exhaust a ranger or scout, you discard a non-unique active location, and then you search the encounter deck and discard pile for a non-unique location and make it the active location. I love the theme that we are using Distant Stars here, because Distant Stars is a card about Aragorn's travels. The flavor text is him talking about going where the stars are strange, and this is definitely a quest where Aragorn is doing some major traveling. We also have Shadow of the Pass, so if a ship location ends up on top of the encounter deck, maybe it was a shadow card, then Shadow of the Pass will put it on top of the deck. As not super thematic. I guess you could stretch the lore and say, well, the dead men of Dunharrow were from the past, but it's really here just for mechanical reasons. And then the final way to get a location I'm looking for is the Hidden Way, where I look at the top 5 cards and I make one of the cards the active location, so hopefully it's a ship, and then we don't have to reveal an encounter card. And the Hidden Way, of course, we've traveled a hidden way to get to the Corsairs, but this is also the time where Gone Very Gone is leading Rohan through the Dunedain forest. To represent that as well, I also have Gone Very Gone because, he's such a cool character. The Woes, the leader of them, guiding Rohan through. And there's no Saga quest cards that deal with Rohan traveling down to Minas Tirith. So there's no real good place to put Gone Very Gone in anything. I think it makes less thematic sense to have him in the Battle of the Pelennor. So I just wanted to include him at one point. So Gone Very Gone is here. He wasn't here where they are doing all of the fighting, but there is no real good place to put him in these 3 quests. So I just wanted him to show up at least once. So that's the deck. I'm really trying hard to get these locations in the victory display as fast as possible, trying to win in 5 rounds. And if I need an absolute huge push on my last turn, justice shall be done. This might be showing up in many of my decks from this point on that involve Aragorn, because this is definitely you're going all out, putting everything on the line. This is it. I'm going to either win or we're going to lose it all type card, which is definitely the situation we are in thematically for pretty much all the quests from this point forward. All right, everybody, let's get back to the table. Okay, in my opening hand, I want any artifact to put on Aragorn. So either the banner, Andril, or Celebrian Stone. I also would love some sort of healing. That's going to be very important. And then just allies. I want to be able to start getting allies in play as quickly as possible so I can build up the board state. And then, of course, my tech for finding ships. But obviously, I'm not going to get all that stuff, but the artifact is probably the most important. Okay, we have a 2-cost ally. There's some tech to find a location. There's a neutral ally. Ooh, there's Andril. Okay, great. Proud Hunters for resource acceleration. And the Warden of Healing. Well, that's an awesome starting hand. That is excellent. So let's take a look at 1B. It's the only quest card in the game. 20 progress needed. Each ship location in the staging area is immune to player card effects. Once we explore the Great Corsair ship, we have won the game. Yeah, this is a great starting hand. Really glad I don't have to raise my threat by 1 to find Andril. The odds are pretty good that you're going to find at least 1 artifact. And man, with all these heroes and the Army of the Dead, you can pretty much handle anything on turn 1. A very good tail, so that's awesome, because with Thalion and one of these 2-cost allies, I should be able to use very good tail on turn 2. All right, let's start out with Andril. We're going to play that on Aragorn. He gets +1 to his stats, and he's not going to exhaust a quest, so we will spend his resource, Gimli's, and Halbarad. Gotta make sure I say it right. Not Halbrand, Halbarad. There we go. Let's use dye that are the color of the Italian flag in honor of my Italian heritage. So if there's anybody in the Alvito area that knows any Daciancios, I'm a descendant. All right, so Aragorn is now a 3/4/3 with 5 hit points. That's awesome. Let's go questing. We're going to send everybody except Gimli, and Aragorn will not exhaust a quest. Let's make some progress. We're going to be sending 13 willpower. I'm supposed to be up against 3 already because I need to do the effects on the objective. So I need to deal out 1 damage to somebody and add a resource to the Corsair fleet. But first I looked at the encounter card, and it's raiding the coasts. When revealed, each player must choose. Either add 3 to the total threat of the staging area, or discard the highest cost attachment you control. Well, Aragorn is not letting go of Andril, so we are going to add 3. And then this is me going, oh yeah, I got to do this. So 1 damage instead of revealing an encounter card, and 1 threat on that ship. So the blue die is threat, the gray die is the resources I'm placing on the fleet. So we still made 7 progress, which is pretty good. Pretty good on your opening turn to make 7 progress. And now we can travel to the ship. So to travel to the ship, we're going to shuffle the discard pile back into the encounter deck, which is just 1 card. And then we're going to discard cards until we get an enemy. There are 2 enemies that are easier to handle and 2 that are not. So let's see what I get. Okay, I got the knot. This is one of the harder enemies. So this is the Umbar Pirate Crew. It's a 3/6/2/8. Okay, cannot have attachments, and then forced, when it engages you, exhaust a character you control. It's 39 engagement, but I do have to engage it right off the bat. And we could easily lose the game right here because the Army of the Dead is exhausted. So that is who I like to defend with before I have any other defenders in play. So yeah, I'm going to have to... Well, let's just take a risk here. I'm going to exhaust Aragorn, and then I'm going to defend with Gimli. And if this guy gets a boost, Gimli is dead and my game is over. We also have Archery 1 because of the location we're at, so let's place that out. But yeah, okay, let's have Gimli defend, and the shadow is nothing. Okay, I could have defended with Aragorn as well, but I thought I'll take the risk, and if Gimli lives, I have a bunch of damage on Gimli, and then he can start really killing enemies in the following rounds. So, high risk, high reward type of play there. All right, let's go up to 43, and we are engaged with an enemy, and we draw the Lindhir Sea Captain. Okay, that's nice. But now we don't have to exhaust Halbarad when we quest, so that's nice. Let's give everybody resources, and we're going to be able to get some stuff going now. Turn 2 is usually when I play my allies in this quest with this deck. So let's get going. So we can definitely afford the Warden of Healing. So we're going to be able to exhaust him and heal damage on 2 different characters. That is something that, I need to do. So let's do that. So we're going to heal Barivor and Adrayan. And then we can also afford Thalion. Thalion is a 4-cost neutral, unique Dunedain, incredibly good looking. And if I had a side quest in the victory display, he would ready at the start of the combat phase. But he's just a good ally to help me with whatever I need helping with. And that's going to be it for now. I really hope we either reveal a ship location or just a location so I can use distant stars and find a ship location. So this is where you need a little bit of luck. All right, let's not forget, I almost did. At the start of the quest phase, we put 1 resource on the fleet and 1 threat goes on the ship, and then I have to deal out 2 damage or reveal an encounter card. Let's deal out 2 damage. I'll put 1 on Barivor and 1 on Thalion. All right, so let's send Halbarad without exhausting Halbaran. Jeez, I'm not going to get it right. Adrayan and Aragorn, I need a little more. Let's also send Thalion. You can't see the token, it's off camera, but I'm sending Thalion as well, so we're sending a total of 9 against 2. Come on, location or ship location? Yes, ship location. All right, it's the same ship that we are currently at. So we've added 2 more threat. So we're going to make a total of 5. So we're going to have 10 out of 20. So we're halfway there. This goes in the victory display. And then all the same stuff is going to happen again. So we're going to travel to this other copy, which means we shuffle in the encounter deck and we discard cards. I really hope I don't get another big enemy. I hope I get one of the smaller ones. I can handle it. I just need to get lucky with the shadow cards. I'd probably have to defend with the Army of the Dead and Aragorn, but I'd rather just have an enemy that I can handle a little easier. Let's see. This time, okay, good. It's one of the weaker ones. So it's the Corsair of Umbar, and he is a 2/2/1/3, and then if the active location is a ship, he gets +2 attack and defense. And because the active location is this Droman, each of these guys have archery 1. And speaking of the active location, because we cleared a location, Adrayan should be ready. I'll remember that in a moment. I was just so excited to see a ship. Okay, we're putting the archery on Barivor and Thalion, and now we're going to get attacked. So the big attack, we're going to have that go against the Army of the Dead. They should be able to survive it. No shadow, and speaking of the shadows, I'm definitely keeping them in play, because if I have Shadow of the Past in my hand, if I draw it, I want to make sure I can put the right card from the discard pile on top of the deck. All right, Aragorn's going to defend. It's 4 against 3. There's me remembering Adrayan is ready. And, ooh, there we go. So this Black Sails Treachery, it's doomed 1, but then that lets me find a ship location. So I'm going to make sure that one ends up on top of the encounter discard pile. Okay, Aragorn takes a damage, and then Andriel lets Aragorn swing back, and he does a damage back to this Corsair. Gimli is attacking for 6, Adrayan for 3, and Halbarad for 2. So that's enough to kill the big enemy. And at the moment, I forgot I have Proud Hunters in my hand. So what I was doing here is I'm trying to figure out, do I have to use Barivor? And I don't. So I'm going to not use Barivor. And then I should draw 2 cards with Barivor before I actually do this attack, because then I can see what 2 cards I draw and who should get the resources from the Proud Hunters. So I did a little bit in the wrong order here. So Barivor draws me 2 cards, And they're both tactics. So I should have triggered Barivor first, then killed these enemies, and then that would have let me know, okay, Gimli needs the resources from Proud Hunters. That's really cool to be able to do that and know who gets the resources, because when I'm attacking with all these different heroes, I can really pick and choose who gets resources. And we draw another honor guard with the card we drew. There's me going, oh yeah, Proud Hunters. Okay, so whoever participates in an attack, you can play Proud Hunters, and then you get resources equal to the threat of the enemy you killed. And that was a 3-threat enemy, so Gimli is going to gain 3 more resources. So yeah, I did it out of order, but Barivor first, then do your attack, because the card you drew might determine who gets the resources. So Gimli now has 4 resources, which is really awesome. So let's consider playing at least one of these honor guards so I can cancel a damage, and I think I'm not going to play the second one because I would really like to keep a resource for that feint, just in case I get an enemy and I can't handle it. So let's play an honor guard. You exhaust it to cancel a point of damage just dealt out. So between the Warden of Healing and an honor guard, I can definitely start handling all the direct damage coming my way. Let's also play this Knight of Belfast, and he would pull a Gondor character out of my discard pile into my hand. I don't have one in my discard pile at the moment, but that's okay. I just want to get allies in play. And then I do have a very good tail. I think I'm going to use it. So let's just build up the board state really big right now, because Thalion and like the Knight of Belfast, that's 6 resources worth of allies I can exhaust to a very good tail. That seems totally worth it, and let's see what I can get in play from that. So you exhaust 2 allies, you give your deck a shuffle, and then you're going to discard the top 5 cards of your deck, and I can put in up to 2 allies that cost the same as the 2 I exhausted up to that cost. So let's see who we have. All right, great. Envoy of Peligir right off the bat. And then the Compass, the Hidden Way. Oh, that stinks. Legolas. Nice. Okay. And Celebrian Stone. All right. Well, that is 2 allies, and their combined cost is 6. So that works. So we're going to get Legolas in, and then the Envoy of Peligir as well. When the Envoy of Peligir enters play, she can give a resource to a noble or Gondor hero. So she can give her resource to Aragorn or Gimli. If I give it to Gimli, then I have 3 resources, and I can put in the second honor guard and still keep a resource for feint. Okay, that's awesome. And then Legolas, when he participates in an attack, he draws you a card. So pretty awesome board state for, what are we on, turn 3? Yeah, this is pretty good. So yeah, let's put in this honor guard. So now I can cancel 2 points of damage. They each have 3 hit points, so they can soak up a bunch of damage. And then the Warden of Healing can do some healing. So we are definitely handling the direct damage. Speaking of which, let's do some. So it started the quest phase. We're placing a 3rd threat on the great ship and then a 3rd resource on the fleet. Let's do 3 direct damage. And then for some reason, I like making quests harder on myself, so I deal out 4 for some reason. Okay, I'm going to use the Warden of Healing. We're going to heal Barivor and Aragorn. Let's keep my heroes healthy. And let's go questing. So we're up against 3. The active location has 2. And once again, I'm hoping for a location. Any location, or more specifically, a ship location would be absolutely great. So let's send a total of 10. And yep, all right. So fate smiles down upon me and gives me a 3rd ship location. So that was very, very lucky. I'm not going to complain, though. So let's travel to the Umbar War Galley. And when we travel there, we have to once again shuffle in the discard pile and discard until we get an enemy. And because we cleared a location, a Draen readied. So yeah, I got very lucky there. I mean, I did have that distant stars if I would have revealed any location. And so much tech in my deck to find locations. Between the 2 things, you should be able to get 3 ship locations within the first 4 turns, I would hope. All right, the enemy we got is the Haradrim Pirate, and when he engages me, I'm going to have to deal 2 damage because the active location is a ship. He's attacking for 3, 2 defense, 4 hit points. A Draen should be ready, and I accidentally put that ship in the discard pile. It was supposed to go in the victory display. I'll have to dig it out here in a minute. But okay, so we're engaged with 2 enemies, and yeah, I have lots of characters, so this shouldn't be that bad. I don't have archery because we're not at that other ship. Aragorn will defend for 3 against the Corsair, attacking for 4. If this attack deals damage, we can't ready the defender. Okay, the Honor Guard will block that 1 damage, so Aragorn does not take any, and then Andriel lets him swing back and deal a damage back. And now we're getting attacked for 3, and I will have Adrayan defend this one. No shadow, and then the other Honor Guard will keep her from taking any damage. All right, that's awesome. So no damage dealt out by either of these attacks, and plenty of characters to swing back. I'm going to kill both of these guys. So let's have Legolas and Gimli swing in together to kill 1. Legolas draws me a card. It's Ancient Matham. And then, yeah, I mean, the Army of the Dead is ready. It's crazy, the amount of attack I have. So we can definitely kill this other enemy. So here we go into the next turn with no enemies engaged. I forget to raise my threat, but no worries. I do catch it later and get my threat corrected. Okay, the card we draw is Gonbury Gone. Okay, well, like I said in the deck building video, he's not here, but this is really the only time I can use him in this entire thematic playthrough. There's no good time to really use him. So he quests for the threat of the active location, and you can discard him to cancel the travel effect. I'm just glad to have him show up in this playthrough. I had no idea. It's impossible to use every named character, but there are some that are just kind of like my favorite characters, and I just really wanted them to show up. Hirgan is another amazing character. He's the one who delivers the red arrow. There's really no good time to use him in any of these quests as well. So, okay. So Gonbury Gone, I put him in play, and then we did some healing, and I put some Ancient Matham on the active location. And now let's raise the threat and resources to 4 on the 2 cards in the staging area. Let's deal out 4 direct damage. Let's send a total of 12, and we're going to be up against 4. I don't think I could send enough to put the 20th progress on the quest, because we only have 12, so I'm going to have to do a big willpower push on my final turn of the game here. So yeah, 12 against 4, and the card we reveal is, okay, Driven to the Brink. It's Peril. When revealed, either immediately end the quest phase, which means we don't place any progress, that's no good, or we assign damage equal to the number of resources on the fleet. Okay, so that's 4 more damage coming out, but lots of hit points on the table, so we can handle that. Okay, cool. Well, it added no threat, so that's awesome. So we're going to clear this active location, putting the 3rd ship in the victory display. We're going to go up to 17 progress out of 20 on the quests. And because we had some Ancient Matham, we're going to get to draw 3 cards. Okay, so let's draw 3 cards. We get Shadows of the Past, Defender of Ramas, and the Andrath's Guardsman. Okay, excellent. So I like having Shadows of the Past, because maybe I can make sure for the final quest stage that we're questing against something we can handle. Now I'm going to dig that ship out of the encounter deck that I forgot to add to the victory display. That will give us our 3rd ship in the victory display, and now we can travel to the Great Corsair Warship. And when we do so, we got to find the captain. Wow, look at all those enemies at the bottom of the deck. Okay, this captain, he's pretty bad. 3, 5, 3, 6, can't be optionally engaged. And then while the active location is a ship, he gets minus 30 engagement, and then he's going to make an immediate attack when he engages me. So this would have been a perfect enemy if I had Coney in a trap or ambush or something to take care of. But I do have a feint in hand, and of course I have lots of characters to handle this attack. The Defender of Ramas with the Raiment of War also would have been really good. But let's have Aragorn defend. Okay, it's that shadow that says if he takes damage, he can't ready. But luckily, both Honor Guards can stop the 2 damage that would have went through. And so now he's going to attack me in the combat phase. And I can play Feint, because Feint is a combat action. So I have to wait to the combat phase, and then I can play Feint and stop that attack. So we don't get attacked, and then obviously we can kill this guy. I mean, the Army of the Dead and Gimli by themselves can take him out. I forgot I could have even used Legolas and drawn a card, but I think you can see we're good. Okay, so the shadow was Black Sails. This is a great card to put on top of the deck, because it's only going to be doomed 1 and add like 3 or 4 threat. So I looked at my threat dial to see if I could handle that doomed 1 when I reveal it next round, and that's when I realized I should not be at 44 threat, because just looking at the resources, I should at least be 3 higher. So I did some quick math and realized my current threat should be 45. I must have forgot to raise it during one of the rounds. So let's make it 45. and then we're going to go into the next round, and my threat will be 46. But first, let's draw 2 cards. Why not? There's Coney in a Trap, and there's Raiment of War. Okay, so Coney in a Trap is really nice for that captain, because you know he's coming, and you can just make sure he gets trapped like a Coney in the Trap. Okay, we just got to clear the active location and place a few more progress on the quests. The card we draw is my second Shadows of the Past. All right, no problem now. So let's play one of those. We're going to put Black Sails on top of the deck, so we know we're just going to be up against a little bit of threat in Doomed 1, so nothing crazy is happening. And then I might as well play this Defender of Ramas because I have 2 tactics resources on Gimli, so let's just get this guy in play. At the start of the quest phase, we're going to place our 5th resource, which means we need to deal out 5 damage. Gonbury Gone is questing for 5 right now. If you don't like Gonbury Gone being in this deck, if you didn't think it was thematic, I still would have won without him, but I'm glad I put him in there. I really wanted him to show up. So, all right, damage dealt out, the Honor Guards canceled 1 each, and the Warden of Healing healed off 2 that got dealt out. And yeah, let's go. So, gonna send every single person with willpower, because all we gotta do is place 3 progress on the quest and clear this ship. We reveal Black Sails, so Doomed 1, so I'm gonna go up to 47, and then I find a ship, and then that ship is gonna have +1 threat. So whatever ship I find first, that's the one I'm going to add. It looks like it's the one that is 3 threat. That's fine. So we added 4 threat, and we don't have the threat of the great ship in play anymore, so that token is wrong. I make a lot more progress than I think, but yeah, we were absolutely fine. So that is a victory, and that went extremely well. You should be able to beat this quest in 5 or 6 rounds with this deck. If it's more than 6, I would just replay it and see if you can get 5 or 6. It's pretty easy to do. All right, resolution, count the number of resources on the Corsair fleet, record that number in the notes section, and then Army of the Dead is now removed. So the Army of the Dead, your oath has been fulfilled. Okay, so they go away, and we have 5 as our number. So that is going to be very important for the next quest, one I'm very nervous to make a video for, the Battle of Pelennor Fields. Man, this quest, that is an epic quest. I haven't really thought about the deck I'm going to bring yet. There's so many characters. I have some ideas, but my goodness, that quest, it's long, it's awesome. I'm terrified I'm going to make a mistake like on turn 2, which negates an entire playthrough, and I'll have to re-record. So wish me luck on this next one. It's going to be a doozy. All right, I hope you enjoyed this one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.